We should absolutely have an inquiry into how abjectly awful, immoral, criminal and incompetent that we have been over the years.
The government has already rejected calls for a national inquiry and had said that they were going to do 5 local inquiries. Now that has a load of problems in and of itself.
No one has been convicted for covering up the institutionalised rapes. Those words from Conservative MP Katy Lamb cut through the parliamentary noise like a knife. While politicians debate policies, children are being failed by a system meant to protect them.
Then the MP was about children actually being violently raped and abused by grooming gangs when no one was willing to prosecute them. But
in this explosive parliamentary speech, Lamb exposes how officials allegedly colluded with rape gangs, allowing the systematic abuse of vulnerable girls to continue unchecked. The Labour government's response? 5 local inquiries that victims say don't go nearly far enough.
The government has already rejected calls for a national inquiry and had said that they were going to do 5 local inquiries. Now that has a load of problems in and of itself.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What happens when the very institutions designed to protect our most vulnerable citizens become active participants in their exploitation? Conservative MP Katy Lamb's explosive parliamentary address has lifted the veil on a system not merely broken, but corrupted to its core.
Secondly, local inquiries have no statutory basis, which means they can't compel witnesses and they can't compel evidence.
The evidence she's presented paints a disturbing picture of institutional betrayal so profound it challenges our most basic assumptions about those entrusted with child protection. Among the most shocking revelations was the case of Anna from Bradford. At just 14 years old, she repeatedly reported abuse to social workers, the very people sworn to protect her. Their response? They facilitated her marriage to her abuser in a traditional Islamic ceremony. Let that sink in. A social worker, a government employee paid to safeguard children, actually attended this illegal wedding of a child to her abuser. As if this weren't appalling enough, the system's betrayal continued when authorities arranged for Anna to be fostered by her abuser's parents, effectively delivering her into the hands of those who would enable her continued exploitation. This isn't a one-off failure. It represents a catastrophic collapse of the safeguarding apparatus meant to protect vulnerable children. The most disturbing aspect isn't just that these systems failed, it's that they actively participated in the abuse.
Who have sexually tortured over many years thousands of young white girls.
The systemic nature of this betrayal is further evidenced by Judge Marson's damning statement in Kirklees. You were seen with your victim on at least 3 occasions by the police. None of that deterred you and you continued, the judge noted, when addressing one perpetrator. Consider what this means. Police officers, multiple times, observed an adult man with his child victim, yet took no effective action. This wasn't mere negligence. It was a green light to abusers that they could operate with impunity. Perhaps most heartbreaking is the case of a Rotherham father who, desperate to save his daughter, attempted to rescue her from her abusers. His reward? Arrest by South Yorkshire police, not once, but twice in a single night, while his daughter continued to be assaulted by multiple men. The message couldn't be clearer. Those who tried to protect children face punishment, while those who abused them receive protection. These aren't isolated incidents, but part of a pattern so consistent it suggests deliberate policy rather than coincidental failure. The victims were predominantly white girls from vulnerable backgrounds. The perpetrators were predominantly Pakistani Muslim men.
That there are gangs of men, predominantly Asian Muslim, either from Pakistan or of Pakistani heritage.
This uncomfortable truth, one that Lamb had the courage to state plainly, was systematically ignored by authorities paralysed by fears of appearing racist. This paralysis wasn't merely passive, it manifested as active obstruction of justice.
Looking at everything that's happened all across Britain, how can we understand why this happened, whether it's still happening?
When parents tried to intervene, they were arrested. When victims reported crimes, they were dismissed. When evidence mounted, it was ignored or buried. Even now, with these horrific failures exposed, local leaders in Bradford and Wales continue to resist independent inquiries. Their obstinate denial raises the obvious question: what exactly are they trying to hide?
We should absolutely have an inquiry into how abjectly awful, immoral, criminal and incompetent that we have been over the years.
The refusal to submit to transparent investigation suggests the rot goes deeper than we yet know. The Labour government's response, proposing 5 local inquiries, demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of the scale and scope of this scandal. Local inquiries, conducted by the very institutions implicated in these failures, cannot possibly deliver the unbiased scrutiny needed. It's akin to asking foxes to investigate missing chickens. Not a single official has been convicted for covering up these systematic abuses.
It is where this has been happening. It is Labour councils with a large local Pakistani Muslim population where this has been happening.
Not one person responsible for placing Anna with her abuser's family has faced criminal charges. No police officer who repeatedly observed abuse and did nothing has been held accountable. The social worker who attended a child's wedding to her abuser walks free. Meanwhile, thousands of victims continue living with the consequences of these betrayals. Their trauma doesn't expire with the passage of time. It shapes and distorts their entire lives. For them, justice delayed is more than justice denied. It's a continuing affirmation that their suffering didn't matter then and doesn't matter now. The horrifying reality is that thousands of children were sacrificed to preserve institutional reputations and avoid uncomfortable conversations about ethnicity and culture.
By Alexis Jade, no, rubbish. It wasn't a national inquiry into grooming gangs. They spent 5 days on it. They didn't hear from any grooming gang victims.
Political correctness became a shield behind which abuse flourished. The very notion of safeguarding was perverted into a system that safeguarded abusers rather than children. The amendments proposed by MP Katy Lamb represent only the starting point in addressing this institutional catastrophe. Her call for quarterly ethnicity data publication would force transparency where officials have hidden behind political correctness. Terminating parental rights of convicted sex offenders and enhancing sentences for gang members would begin to shift justice back toward victims. What's truly disturbing is the continued freedom of those who facilitated these horrors. As Lamb emphasised, the government's response has been scary beyond belief. The authorities who colluded must be investigated and arrested. Until accountability reaches those who enabled these crimes, victims continue serving life sentences while their betrayers walk free.